everybody. So last week we talked a lot about place value. We talked about what digits are. We talked about what place and value meant. We talked about tens and ones. And so let's look a little bit about, let's kind of review. Remember, we had Perry here, Perry the place value robot, and we learned that standard form is just like the usual way that you see a number. We learned about drawing a picture or using your base 10 blocks to model numbers. We also talked about expanded form and how that's when you stretch the number out and make it into a number sentence. And then finally we talked about word form. So kind of building on that this week, we're going to talk about comparing numbers and how to do that using words and symbols. So we're going to make a little chart together first. The title for this chart is going to be Comparing Numbers. Comparing numbers. Oops, I thought I had more room, but I don't. There we go. Comparing numbers. So when we compare numbers, there are different words that we use to do that. So let me actually draw a few numbers out first for us. Okay, so here's a 10 and 2 ones. And then, what if we compare it with this number? Okay, so first of all, let's figure out what is this number here. A 10 and 2 ones. We have 10, 11, 12. So this number is 12, and the number over here is 3. There's just 3 ones. Okay, so if we compare 12 and 3, let's think about, is 12 bigger than 3, smaller than 3, or the same as 3? Well, the number 12, first of all, has a 10. 3 does not have a 10 at all. So that alone makes 12 the greater, bigger number because it has a 10. And it also has more ones than 3 does. And it's, or actually, 3 has more ones. Hello. 3 has more ones, but because 12 has a tens place, that makes it the greater number. Okay? So, greater just means bigger. If I was going to use words to tell the comparing of these two numbers, I would say 12 is greater than 3. Okay, so I would use the words greater than to compare these because 12 is greater than 3. If I was going to use a symbol to compare the two numbers, you may have seen these symbols before in kindergarten. To compare 12 and 3, to show the greater than symbol, here's what you do. Since 12 is the largest number, it gets 2 dots next to it. And then 3 is the smaller number, it gets 1 dot. If you connect the dots, you get the greater than symbol. This is the greater than symbol. This reads 12 is greater than 3. You may have heard this before, like referred to as an alligator mouth, and you may see that in some of the videos. Sometimes people like to pretend that this is an alligator mouth and it's trying to eat the biggest number. You could do that, but it's important to know that if you do it with the dots, that will be how it works, because sometimes the alligator can get kind of confusing as you get into upper grades. So, 2 dots next to the largest number, 1 next to the smallest. Connect the dots and that gives you the correct symbol. 12 is greater than 3. Okay, let's look at another number. Now, let me draw like a line so we don't get confused here. If I have this many on this side, and on the other side, I have a 10 and some ones here. Let's compare these two numbers. First of all, let's figure out what number do we have on each side here. So this shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on my other side, I have a whole 10. So I'm just going to start by saying 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we are comparing the number 7 and the number 15. All right. So let's think. Which number, I always like to just go with greater. You can say less though. Which number is greatest, 7 or 15? Well, 15 has a 10, 7 does not. So since it has a 10, that's going to automatically make it the larger number. So 15 is going to be greater than 7, but it doesn't come first. So I'm going to have to say it the opposite direction. I can't say 15 is greater than 7 because we don't read backwards, we read forwards. So I can say 7 is less than 15. Okay, so we can say 7 is less than 15. Less than means that it is smaller, okay? So 7 is less than 15. If I'm using the symbol, the less than symbol, remember you put 2 dots next to the largest number and the smaller number gets 1 dot. 7 is smaller than 15, so we only have 1 on the 7 side. Connect your dots and you have the correct symbol. 7 is less than 15. Okay, so we have greater than, less than, and then another way to compare numbers. There's one more. Let's find out what that is. Okay, so if I have this many on this side, oops, I've been doing this in pink. Let me keep the pattern up here. Okay, let's figure out how many I have on each side here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 on this side. How many are on this side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So both sides here have 8. So when you have numbers and you're comparing them and they are the same on each side, another word to say is that they are equal. So 8 is equal to 8. 8 is equal to 8. Okay, so the symbol that you use to show that something is equal is just like whenever you're doing a math problem and you say it equals whatever, you just put the equal sign. So 8 equals 8. That equal sign means that both sides are the same. 8 equals 8. So when you're comparing numbers, you're going to use the words either greater than, less than, or equal to, and you're going to use these symbols here. Now we're going to do some work with our 10 frames and compare with 10 frames, because you can use base 10 blocks, but you can also compare numbers using 10 frames. So here I have 2 10 frames, and I'm just going to build a number here and a number here, and then we'll compare. Okay. So if I have these 2 numbers, how many do I have on the top? I have 4, and then on the bottom I have 2. So if I'm comparing 4 and 2, would I say 4 is equal to 2? 4 is greater than 2? Or 4 is less than 2? Well, which one has the most? 4 or 2? 4 has the most, and it comes first because we read from top to bottom. So if 4 has the most, it's going to be 4 is greater than 2. Okay? 4 is greater than 2. All right, let's do a different one. Okay, what if I have this? 1 and 0. Which is the greatest? 1 is greatest because 0 has nothing. So would I say 1 is less than 0, 1 is equal to 0, or 1 is greater than 0? Well, 1 is greater than 0 because it is more than 0. 1 is greater than 0. What if I had the 1 on the bottom 10 frame? Does this still make sense? 0 is greater than 1? No, that doesn't work now. So now I'd have to change my words to less than, because now 0 is less than 1. Okay, let's try another number. Let's see here. Okay, how many do I have on the top and how many do I have on the bottom? On the top, I have, this is a whole 5, remember, because each of the 10 frame rows has 5 total. So I don't even need to count all of these. I can just say 5 and one more is 5, 6. So there are 6 on top. Oh, I noticed the bottom looks exactly the same. So we have 6 and 6. Is 6 greater than 6? 6 equal to 6, or 6 less than 6? Well, if they're the same, that means they are equal. So 6 is equal to 6. Okay? Tomorrow we're going to talk some more about the symbols in these comparing words, but just know when you compare numbers, you think about which one's the greatest, which one's the least, and are they equal. All right, see you tomorrow.